One. Hello, welcome back to Horizon Marmoris, which we are still doing, don't worry, even though it's been quite a while. Hopping right into it, let's start with the recap. Who wants to, collectively help us work our way through what happened, 3 months ago?
So we, our aim was to kind of join on with the company, the Codex, and we set out to do a bit of treasure hunting. Used a couple of diving bells to head deep down, where we found where Mist and Wake found a ghost ship, and looted that for all it's worth, while getting shot at with ghostly cannons. And meanwhile, back on the surface, we were keeping an eye out for, I think it was the Spanish.
It was
yeah,
the Armada coming up the Silver Coast? Yeah.
that was it. Yeah, Hull doing a classic drop the anchor trick to slow them down, and we managed to get away with that confrontation, and got some goodies out of it. Others may remember what exactly we looted better than I do, but I think there is. Oh, that's right. There was a magical material. I think.
Yes.
Cassaterium, maybe.
Yes, there was a collar made of a very special sort of tin, and a few scattered gold coins. Unfortunately, the rest of the treasure in the treasure ship they had found was sent sort of careening away down the canyon after all of the hullabaloo caused something. Something happened that wasn't that was unfortunate.
That was it, yeah.
And unfortunately, the VOD for last episode turned out to be muted the entire time because OBS changed my input devices in me, so we can't go back.
Thank
and
you,
look at it.
OBS.
Okay, cool. So,
and more importantly, or well, not more importantly, but I think one of the big things from last session was we got shadow names for Wake and Mist, and we're kind of coming together into a bit of a cabal theme that we're edging towards as well.
Night
a bit
travel.
more identity there.
Night travel,
Yeah.
the night travelers, the travelers at night. You'll workshop it.
Exactly.
Cool. And I forget. Did we come to a decision on whether we thought that this was an oppressive enough sort of instance of finding what you want and taking grasp of it to, petition for having passed the initiation to the company? I know that some of you have that as an aspiration.
I remember we went back, and we presented some of our spoils.
Okay, did we? I didn't remember that part, but I think that we can start sort of in media res at that point.
Cool.
You're in Nassau. The year is what is it? Jesus. Where's the 1714? There we go. Yeah. We're in the superhero era now. Everyone's a comic book artist, possessed by their past lives. Okay, yeah, so, year 1714. We are in Nassau on New Providence Island in the Bahamas. And you're standing in a office secluded into the fort of Nassau. Windows sort of dimly throwing light over the wood-paneled office of a tallish, dark-skinned woman, looking sort of at you all with anticipation as you sort of explain how or what you came back with and how it demonstrated your sort of, will to power, as it were. That phrase hasn't been coined yet, but we'll roll with it.
Sure. I think, given it that it was Wake and Mist who were the ones, down there in the deep. I feel like it would make sense to have them be the ones presenting it and talking it up.
Yeah, sounds good.
Are we presenting? We're like just showing it, right? We're not handing over.
Unless you want to give her a gift, no. You weren't
no.
expected to turn over your spoils at this juncture.
I do remember that Mist was extremely exuberant and giddy about the whole encounter. He pushed his mastery of arcane magic, so he's probably recounting a whole lot of what he saw going through the darkness, swimming, the ghost ship, and just, basically recounting his adventure like almost in childlike enthusiasm, but without misplaying the danger of it.
And Wake would absolutely be more than willing to mention some of the misadventures as well, such as I remember we went a little fast and loose with the paradox, and ended up causing a bit of a magical mishap as well.
Yes, that's right. It was because of a paradox that the ship flew away. That's right.
Oh, all right.
Not in an apologetic sense, though.
Mm-hmm.
But Wake's equally owning the mishap as the victory.
And do you mention so? As far as I out of character remember, you did a lot of swimming, and a lot of. I think one of you at one point started to lose your breath and start suffocating.
Oh yeah, I failed like all but one swimming check.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah.
At this you see Red Gull sort of smile broadly, but in sort of an edged manner, and she says, "Drowning's a little bit of an undignified fate for a wizard, isn't it?"
Wizard or not, the ocean. Don't fuck with it.
Hmm.
The
The ocean is a grand and mighty force, in fact. Our lungs, however, are smaller and a bit easier to wrangle, I think. And she says that, there's no shame in hard work, but perhaps next time, consider how to make your lives easier for yourselves. For example, why did you not simply erase the space between you and the canyon, or between you and the bottom of the ship, to transport between them in an instance, or stop yourselves from needing to breathe? It's these sorts of tricks, and, well, she wouldn't say tricks. When you think in terms of how you can surpass your natural limitations rather than work around them, that's when your power will let you truly take everything that you want. Doors can't stop you. Enemies can't stop you. As long as you think beyond the limitations you're so used to living with down here in the lie. But admonition aside, she congratulates you on your spoils and on your successful heist, especially when you relate your story of how you fled the Spanish. She loves nothing more than a good heist story. And so when you show the collar, which you'd mentioned you were presenting your findings, what do you explain about it? You've done a little bit of scrutiny and learned that it has channels grooved into it that seem to carry some sort of energy around them, or they seem to sort of carry essence in its grooves. How much do you explain that you, or volunteer that you know about this object?
It was Mist who did most of the scrutiny on that, right?
Sure, we'll say so. I think it was a bit of a group effort, and you had plenty of time at sail to discuss with each other. But
I don't think any of my arcana were enough to glimpse anything from the color.
I think Hull would probably be framing it in relation to essence and how it channels things. Really. I'm sorry. I'm just trying to remember what we actually learned.
Yeah, that's essentially it. You learned that it channels essence from something, and then diffuses it.
So I think Hull probably would, being a spirit mage, would understand that in terms of what it actually means, in terms of the spiritual world and everything. So I think she would frame it as like something that breaches the invisible boundaries of the world, and kind of, I don't know, like acts as a lodestone almost, and you kind of pull from one to the other.
Redgall looks at it intently for a minute, and you can all sort of tell by the glaze in her eyes that she's looking at it or glancing at it deeply, but very briefly, almost as if she's seen this sort of thing before. The same way that you all probably at this point would be able to tell at a glance, a spell that you've cast before using your active mage sight, which tells you, nasty thing this is. We call this Cassaterium. It is a more perfect form of tin than what you'll find kicking around in the port here. And it is, in essence, it is an instrument of hunger. Specifically, a hunger of the spirits. When spirits come over to our world from where they're born, from that realm beyond, I think she would call it the Veil, then they're consumed with the hunger they bring over from that food-starved place. I think she hasn't said the word shadow at any point in this. She's referring to it sort of in allusions, assuming that you know what she's talking about. She says, this enhances that hunger. This drains that essence and then lets it loose back into the world from whatever it's touching. And collars are meant to be worn, as I'm sure you might be aware.
So, is this like a slave collar for spirits?
It's a good way of putting it.
Just behaving, no food if you don't do what I say.
Yes, especially since the spirits. So Dalian hasn't taken any dots of spirit, but
no, he has a
Wake
basic
has,
interstellar
yes.
vocals.
But yeah, he has. He knows what they are. He's gotten the sort of elevator speech. But
yeah, I'd say he had this very knowledgeable sleeper knowledge of what it is. Not very knowledgeable, but like what a sleeper occultist might know about spirits.
Right. Essentially, that essence is food for them, and they require food to live as we do. And so draining essence from them makes them hunger, makes them require more food. And Dalian would understand this as well as either Hull or Wake. So,
I think,
go ahead.
From Hull's perspective, because she's not really dealt a lot with individual spirits, like she's not really been interested in that. She kind of thinks of them as not as individuals, and they're more part of the same sort of flowing texture of that which is on the other side. In the same way that you'd think of the inside of a ship, and here are these discrete rooms and people moving around, and there's the outside of the hull, which is water and sort of flowing, and there's things in there, but it's it's all flowing around, and it's part of the same much more fluid ecosystem. So for her, like, to take something from there and then to shackle it like this is a very strange approach, and sort of like she can feel it, like it's not just tabooed to her necessarily because she doesn't have the same culture as Dalian, but it's like this is a strange and taboo thing to do.
Question about what Hall knows. So Hall has spirit too. That's enough to theoretically peer through the gauntlet with enough reach and with enough potency.
Yeah.
Hall is familiar with the gauntlet, obviously as this thing that sort of permeates the world around them, and that, if I recall correctly, on screen we have tried and failed to look through the gauntlet before due to lack of potency. Does Hall know about the shadow? Does Hall know sort of where spirits come from? What's beyond the gauntlet?
I think she may have had an opportunity to sort of take a look during a downtime. I think just as being aware of it, because she's constantly aware of the gauntlet in her spirit sight.
Right, yeah.
So I think she would have at some point taken interest enough to take a look.
Yeah, I'm totally okay with.
I think she's like framing it as in her own symbolism of the inside of the ship, that's the the material world. The outside of the ship, that's the shadow, and it's this big sort of flowing dangerous place that it's not really where people are. It's where other sort of forms of life are, but they're made of something completely different.
Okay.
They're formed from there is travel in between because it's permanent natural barriers, but one affects the other in different ways and in indirect ways. So she sees it as more of this, because she hasn't sort of interacted with individual spirits. She doesn't really see them as like individual things any more than you would see like a fish pulled up from the sea as separate from the school of fish that it was a part of and the reef that it lives in and all of that.
Yeah, okay. I just asked because, I'm totally okay with Hull sort of having done investigations, peering through the gauntlet to see what's on the other side. Definitely in keeping with one's obsession. Just sort of considering how much would Hull have learned just from observation. That there is something on the other side, that there are many more spirits over there. In fact, that everything is spirit over there. But how much more than that has she been able to glean just from observation is something that I think it'd be cool for you to think about. Okay.
Yeah. Okay, cool.
So yes, I think Gall is sort of nodding somewhat along to this, though she will note that over there, you're quite right, lass. I don't know if you've stepped across the barrier yet, but the ground you step on, the sky you're beneath, the air, well, you're not breathing over there when you've changed yourself into ephemera, but everything around you is spirit, amalgamation of spirit, combination of spirit, tapestry of she probably knows that, or has pretty developed vocabulary. Undifferentiated spirit. But here, on our side, the journey is hard. It's tough. It takes a confluence of circumstance and of individual strength for a spirit to be able to cross over to our side. And the reason why they do that is because they can gorge themselves over here, so resonant with all of the activity that humans bring with them. But it means that they're necessarily more individual over here. As you say, fish sort of plopped out of the school.
So a fish out of water but landing in the bait bucket.
She laughs at that, and she says, "Well, are you ready to sign on to the company then? You're all hungry enough. Speaking of hunger."
I assume this is something you would have discussed before coming here to present, right?
You did discuss it last
Yep.
time. Yeah. The
Yep.
general gist was that we'll sign on, but
Mhm.
you don't think that they would, put your heads on a pike if you tried to leave if you find you don't like it.
Yeah, that's basically what Miss says. He's like he would like to receive some education, but he's not married to the idea of staying in the company forever. He doesn't find it agreeable.
Yeah,
So he's
That's fair.
optimistically cautious,
Okay.
or cautiously
Yeah.
optimistic. I don't know. One of the two.
Very well then. I don't know if you were expecting a full pomp and circumstance ceremony, but I'm afraid it'll be an informal affair in case you were expecting garlands. Welcome to the company. Welcome to a band of thieves, a brotherhood of self-interest, and to a society dedicated to freedom, to absolute freedom for every mage and those under her captainship, I guess, is probably her banner. Yeah, her banner. She-
Wake's gonna ask in that order.
Gull thinks for a bit. Says, "You'll move them around on your own, I'm sure." And at this, she sort of gets up from the table and she bids you follow her. If you follow, then she leads you sort of deeper into the fort, sort of underground, down one flight into the basement, and into what appears to you to be a large sort of library. Books line the walls. There are a few tables about. The ceilings are quite low, so it's not like the towering sort of academic library with ladders rolling around that you might otherwise have envisioned. But she takes from a drawer a copy of a book. It has on its cover a series of high speech runes. Let me make sure I don't. I should have already had this up, but on the cover of the book is written in high speech the Codex. You understand sort of with the meaning of that word. In English, the word codex means a book, a compendium, a sort of gathering or assignment of sort of knowledge. But what you get from the full meaning of this high speech is a keep scrolling. Codex. The sense that it is a compact, that is a gathering of relationships, that it is a sort of assignment of fellowship and of swearing oaths. Before your eyes, as you gaze at it, your peripheral mage sight does sort of resonate with magical effects upon it, but sort of and Gull's peripheral mage sight would tag it as prime. She lays the book down before you and hands it, pushes it across the table to you. She says, "Every cabal, every captain gets a copy of this codex. It's not the original, but the original is what we found our order upon. Upon the swearing of oaths between ourselves, freely given fellowship, freely defined relations and laws, and namely the will to take what we want from the world in that freedom while watching out for each other. The real codex, once you've proved yourselves a bit somewhat more, will have your signatures within it, a gift from the Supernal, which allows us to preserve our freedom better against those who would use their magic, their gifts, to enforce tyranny, to enforce sort of subjugation upon us. You'll see it in time.
I'm really sorry to interrupt. My laptop has started glitching out.
Oh dear.
Give me 5 minutes to just restart. Sorry.
Great. See you back in a bit. Hope it goes well.
Sorry about this. One sec.
Okay. And so you've got a book sitting on the table in front of you, and Gull is essentially looking for you to sign your copy right now. But what do you all do?
With the book of this copy of the Codex, I think Wake would be pretty willing to sign it, and if possible, try to sign it like in the high speech of his shadow name. I don't know if he'd be able to do that though, right? Do you need Prime to do like a sort of?
Every mage is capable of reading, speaking, and writing high speech. But like making like proper runes, like invisible runes that only appear to mage sight, is a prime spell.
Yeah, that's right. Also, I am back. I didn't need to restart completely.
Hey,
Welcome back.
nice.
Okay, good.
Well, hopefully it doesn't blow up. But yes, so you're capable of writing high speech, just using, ink.
Mist would be activating his fate sight to see if sealing an oath has any mystic, or writing his name in it has any mystical significance. Not really because he's wary of it or doesn't want to sign, but more because he's interested to see if it has magical ramification, I guess.
Opening. Sure. Opening your prime sight or opening your fate sight. You don't see any sort of destiny or sort of fate binding effects on this particular copy.
I meant once it's signed in the book itself.
Yeah. So you sign your name, either in high speech or in whatever other language. The ink settles into the page, and looking sort of at the book with your fate sight, you don't, see anything resonating from the book. No sort of effects, sort of coming out of it, activating within it. But you do sort of feel the shifting of sands and winds around you changing, sort of from yourself, almost as if sort of a flag banner was fluttering, stopped, and then was blown in a slightly different direction.
Yeah,
And
I see.
yeah, so she tells you, when more mages are back in Nassau, there will be a conferring within a month's time. We'll do your full initiation before the fellowship then, when there are those around, your new brothers and sisters, to witness you. That will require signing a proper oath upon the Codex itself.
Absolutely.
And at this point, any questions from anyone?
So does the Codex kind of lay out the sort of tenets, I guess, of the company?
So let me Codex, blah, blah. Yes, so essentially it lays out the tenets of or sort of the grand principles of sort of that the company has founded itself upon, and it is based largely upon, reading through it. It's reads very much like sort of the Articles of Agreement governing privateering ships from, a slightly more recent pastime when the privateer, the signing of privateers was a normal practice for governments. Sort of the terms under which they are allowed to, take the targets they may take from the sort of rights given to them, and do. It also lays out. So it basically just reads as a long sort of protracted oath, contract, what have you, laying out the tenets of the company, or that the company is based itself upon.
Mm-hmm.
And unless anyone has other questions, Gull congratulates you, tells you, month's time, the conferring will occur in Nassau, when many of the mages will be back in order to, confer with each other, to gather in fellowship, but also to address the security of Nassau with the increased activity of both the Spanish and the English in the area. And with that, she says that she has to go attend to her. I think she refers to it as her sick bay, as she tells you that the way out and to stop someone if you need direction.
Sick bay. Interesting.
I know.
Sure.
Out of character, Dalian wanted to look for training in medicine at some point. So
That's true.
So
He's gonna ask you a bit bluntly. Oh, you're a doctor? Or surgeon?
in a sense, I spend a lot of time around disease, and as any student of life magic can cure disease and understand disease. Injuries, all of these things can be addressed by either a deft hand or a deft will.
I've been interested in what my power could do on those matters. Disease, injuries. So I can reverse, I can stop them from worsening. I'm trying to see if I can reverse them.
Well, why don't you come along and I'll show you some things, if you can offer some payment for the tutelage, as she grins. So, out of character, I'll say that if you want to just spend the XP for the skill dot, we'll sort of wrap, whatever small favor into that. If you don't want to spend the XP right now, then we'll figure out something later.
I don't have for the XP right now, but I could definitely buy Crimson Gauze mental, one-dot mental.
Sure. I think that you've sort of ingratiated yourself sufficiently that she'd be willing to, do small favors for you. Either way, do the other two of you leave then, / does Dalian take her up?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, cool. So, the other... Go ahead.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, Hull is happy to leave them to it. And
Wake was wanting to check on. We had started laying the groundwork, but we hadn't actually gotten a new ship built yet, right?
I don't remember you trying to build a new ship. I know that
We're just trying to procure one.
Hull has a long-term ambition or aspiration of stealing a flagship from someone else.
Yeah.
Which may be what you're thinking about, unless my memory is just completely
we had
shot.
just been generally maintaining the ship and sort of preparing it for conflicts and things like that. So
La Rosa, right?
yeah, but I don't think we had any intention to abandon La Rosa or anything.
Yeah. Okay. So, what is the big plan for the month. We can do whatever else you want to do here in Nassau before sort of the next voyage, but what is the next voyage? So what's the sort of direction that you want to go in? As specific or general as you care to go into.
So, sorry, I might have missed this when I was having a glitch there, but so it's a month before we would have a sort of official swearing and joining the company?
Yes, and there's going to be like a lot of other company people are coming back to discuss like general matters for the mystery cult, including like security of Nassau and increased presence of like other groups, that sort of thing.
Okay. Well, I think in that case, Hull wants us to be getting out there, doing things that are worth talking about, getting kind of the lay of the land, so they actually have an opinion on security and and what is actually going to be affecting Nassau and stuff. So she's kind of eager to get out there on the water and do a bit of raiding, do a bit of exploring, a bit of plundering.
Yeah, Wake is absolutely.
Sorry.
Yeah.
So, with the wanting to see what's out there with regard to security of Nassau, does that mean that Hull is thinking that it might be a good idea to focus specifically on more official targets like naval or navy targets rather than just hapless merchant ships in order to sort of learn their capabilities, or just sort of generally go out and plunder what they can, do what they've been doing?
I think with an eye to probing some of the armadas out there, certainly the Spanish, who we've had a lot of conflicts with, but seeing what's out there, probing them, not necessarily going full bore into attacking them and stuff, but seeing what their response times are like and what their defenses are like and things, which is, and probably the best way to do that is to be preying on merchants.
Okay, yeah.
So it's sort of primary objective is figure out what's going on with other countries, armadas.
Prey on merchants and see what they try to do to stop us.
Exactly, yes. See how they respond to a bit of pressure, find out where they're weak, find out where they're strong, sort of thing. So primary objective is finding that out. Secondary objective is get a bit of plunder, get some good stories to make a name for us when we meet with all the other captains.
Scout, you were saying something.
Oh, Wake absolutely also wants to get out there and do stuff, but I think he's probably a little bit more maybe overconfident, but it's only overconfidence if you can't deliver. Given the recent victories that we've had, we've solidified as a cabal, we've solidified a bit more in regards to the company, we've gotten shadow names. I think Wake is kind of feeling this forward momentum. He wants to kind of do something impressive, right? Maybe attack targets or go for targets that are not so mundane,
Okay.
like merchants as well, but he's excited to really like a sense of like potential or like possibility, is what he's kind of feeling. Like, let's fight krakens, let's get out there, let's sail the edge of the world, right? He is.
Okay, cool. And you should also start thinking about sort of how Wake would find out where such wonders and mysteries might reside. Sort of how to locate where there may be dragons on the map. And Dalian,
Yes.
or Mist. What is Mist's sort of priorities for here in Nassau before they leave, but also for sort of the next venture? Are we just hi-ho going a raiding like everyone else?
It's not as much interested in raiding of a pirate life. For now in Nassau, he's more interested in learning to read, but he's really learning for now. And still looking for his mom, so that's his big...
I still need
that's one
to...
of the main things why they... Yeah?
Yeah. Oh, sorry. I was just saying. I forgot to give you a condition for this, for Dalian's illiteracy, so you can get beats out of it.
Oh, that's true.
Um,
I mean, it can be as simple as you can't read, take a beat whenever that
Right,
causes
exactly.
an issue for you.
That's literally what I was writing.
Okay, yeah. Great minds.
So yeah, you want to resolve that first because reading seems like fun. And yeah, for now he's more interested in his mother, so he thinks she might have been awakened, seeing as
Right.
she had an artifact with her. So she's more going to try. He's more waiting for other company member to come in and that he could try to, ask or investigate the matter.
Okay, so he's not actively looking for his mother at this juncture, but he's waiting to,
Yeah.
find another awakened who might be able to help him do that. So Dalian has, what has Dalian tried to do with his own powers to locate his mother? He's done some Oniros diving to see what memories he has of her. He's, what else has he done to try to locate her? Either with his mundane abilities or his awakened abilities.
He's only using his mundane ability, as he don't really think he's powerful enough to find a sure way to contact us. So he's more asking around the people of Nassau, and I think he already asked Gull, and she said a version of why don't you use magic to find her, which wasn't very helpful for him. So
just to make sure I've got it right, Dalian hasn't used magic to look for her because he doesn't think that he has sort of the right stuff.
Exactly, yes.
Okay, cool. So
which is possibly false, but it might also be a bit spooked by what happened in the Zone Street of every Grisha being extremely creepy, like, oh, you're poor child, or you don't know what you lost, and stuff happening, but it definitely didn't cast himself, and it's not too keen to poke too much into that right now.
Okay. So, with regards to Nassau, Mist is learning to read with, I forget her name, the nice innkeeper, Molly, I believe.
Oh yeah, Molly, yeah.
And any other, important last-minute preparations. Like, everyone's going to be doing the things of looking for supplies and shoring up relationships and talking to crew. But
yes,
anything particular that anyone's going to be doing in Nassau?
Taking care of, what's the name again? Georgia.
Yep,
And,
your attempted runaway.
Yep, and trying, spending time with him and trying to see if he cannot heal mind, which is extremely hazardly and doesn't want to risk kind of a journey into the universe until he has a bit of grasp of his power. It can restore much of his mind, of her mind, sorry. So yeah, Daniel is on maybe the studious learning chill side of things for her.
Okay. Cool. So it sounds like that's everything before we head out on the open water. Sort of the crew is together, supplies are gathered, sails are hoisted, and off a raiding we go. Now, you set out on the water. You leave sort of the port of New Providence. As you do so, Wake, roll space plus Gnosis for me.
Okay.
As you feel something contending with your shielding spells over Georgia.
Mm-hmm. That's right, we have baby Gnosis.
Okay. And now do it 3 more times.
Wow.
Okay, I don't know if that's good or bad.
This is not all at once. This is just sort of over the course of a span of time.
Nice.
Second time. No
Not
failures
nice.
there. And 2.
Okay, so spirited resistance. So notably, I don't know if there's a raw sort of interpretation on this ambiguity. It says that mages always know when their spells are clashing, but it doesn't say that they necessarily know if they won the clash. So I'm just going to say that you don't know if you won the clash or not, unless something makes it obvious that you won the clash or lost the clash.
fair.
That's
Yeah.
that's my read. Yeah.
Yeah, I'd
So
say the spell was. If it was dispel with a prime spell, you'd know you lost control of it, but
Mm-hmm.
otherwise,
yeah. So
Probably
over the
not.
course of I'm gonna say like a couple of weeks, a week or so, every once in a while, you sort of feel your shield or your shielding of Georgia. Well, actually, it's more of a veiling, right? Your veiling of Georgia straining, sort of contending with some power, contending with something, and it probably sort of physically weighs on you every time it occurs. But you keep the spell up. You hope that you came out on top of whatever is contesting it. How does Pascal feel about this? So what does Pascal, or not Pascal, Wake sort of do as he knows that something is probing Georgia, trying to sort of utilize her sympathies in some way?
With like his knowledge of sympathy, he knows that there's not too much like, directly you can do to stop a really determined like mage from just following, sympathy. He did it himself. So how does he feel about it is probably, still resolute. That, less maybe afraid of this mysterious, unseen entity.
Well,
But is going to be a little bit more like distant, trying to, if possible, maybe just keep his sympathy a little bit away from Georgia.
Well, I mean, there is a way to stop someone from sort of following sympathies, and that's with the bullet to the head, right?
Not, at that point. So, I mean, he's dampened it as best he could for now, so he's just going to, keep at a distance, relay the findings, but at a certain point you just gotta hope that I guess, you can outrun or confront.
Okay.
I think that's where his mindset probably
Sounds
is.
good. I have to go to the restroom, but while I'm away, I would like you all to think about where on the ship you are and who you are with when you receive an unwelcome visitor. And I'll be back in a couple
Ho
minutes.
ho.
I also need to go to the bathroom, so I'll be back.
Well, this is probably a good time for everyone to take their 5-minute break then.
Right.
Back in a few minutes.
Be back in a few.
Yes, whoops. Sorry,
Whoops.
you can continue.
So yeah, she's, once she's sure that Mist understands what the message is, she sort of says, well, this wasn't, a subtle message. This is clearly someone trying to show off, and it must be connected with Georgia, because I think that was the Virginia Trading Company as well.
Yes.
Yeah, so we know that much. Like, it's not a coincidence that they sent a bird through our window out here.
Wake's gonna say someone's been kind of bashing against the shields that I set up, but I had hoped they would have been strong enough anyway. I suppose not.
At the very least, I think it's bought us some time. And I mean, we're lucky that they breached them just to extend a message rather than to attack us or curse us or what have you.
Sure, but still don't know what this company of Virginia is. Where's Virginia? Where is it?
Well, alright, so all of you
Yeah, no
give me a... Well, you've all been operating in the Caribbean for a while, so why don't you give me an intelligence and composure roll -1.
Do I have any plus for a longer history of pirating or not?
Yeah, sure. No penalty for Wake then.
Oh wow.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. So everyone's pretty familiar with sort of the various trading companies operating out there. You've raided them. You've sort of been in ports and seen their, the various signs hanging off of the porthouses. The Virginia Trading Company is sort of an offshoot of one of the bigger sort of Dutch-owned companies, not the East India Trading. Well, is the East India Trading Company British? Whatever. So it's a smaller trading company. They operate in sort of the corridor, mainly ferrying goods from the New Americas down to the Caribbean, specifically, rather than back to Europe, which is sort of a less occupied niche, bringing wood to the Caribbean, other supplies, etc., whereas most of the other trading companies are more interested in extracting whatever value they can out of both the Caribbean and the Americas, and then taking them through the North Atlantic corridor back to Europe.
Yeah. So whoever, whoever this powerful seer is, that we've.
Are you using the seer in the sense that you have been using it, or
in the sense that I have been using it? Hull is struggling to leave that behind, and whoever that is that we have, been tiptoeing around. They're certainly the kind of person that would be ensconced in a powerful organization like the Virginia Trading Company.
Do we care?
Well,
They don't seem like the type to just, give up after a single message.
yeah, this is we care as much as they care. Frankly, I've no interest in, in this person. Whatever, we've taken some of their things. They've clearly taken exception to that, and are, I assume, pretty powerful. So
And we
The
certainly
quest-
don't. Oh, yeah.
the question is, we can't really leave this. We can't really ignore this because they have a means of tracking us eventually, even with our wards. So, what do we think that they're trying to do here? Are they? Is this a trap? Is this a? They want to find out who we are? Is they want us to? Are they trying to sort of do a show of force and get their things back? What do we think that they're after?
Well, they're probably worried that we managed to reverse Georgia condition and extracted some information from her, I think.
But if they wanted to truly just, eliminate us, that would have, they wouldn't have sent the hawk with a message. So they either want to parlay or make a more public example.
Hmm. And that's a good point, Wake. Georgia was clearly intent on removing any chance of us getting any information from her. So that may be what they're concerned about as well.
We absolutely, can't take Georgia right back to them.
That was my first thought. Yeah, that she's she's our bargaining chip.
Is she?
Well, if they're concerned about us getting information from her, then they clearly don't know the state that she's in right now. So as long as that remains unknown to them, then we have some leverage.
It could be, that by trying to bring us to them, they're just trying to make sure everything's accounted for before, taking us out.
Mm-hmm. Tidy it all up. So if
As long
we
as
head there with Georgia, then that's everything tied up, and if they're powerful, they can do what they want.
Are you, or Balthazar sort of pipes up at this point, are you thinking you will answer this invitation then? Go to Havana?
I don't think we have a choice. Because the other option is we don't, and that would lead them to escalate.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, but once we're there and we have all the cards in hands, what's stopping them from just escalating things anyway?
Well, if we leave Georgia in safe hands, then they won't know, what state she's in and whether she's, going to be able to give information. So then we can use that as leverage to say, if you kill us here, if we don't return to Nassau, or if we don't return to our fellows, whatever, we don't have to give them locations, then, if we don't return, then, our fellows will use the information that Georgia has given them.
And
Georgia will give them the information, and they will use that to their ends, and that will, scupper their plans.
in terms of firepower, it's not like we can't bring an ace of our own, And then with that, Wake's gonna kind of like slip the collar they looted from like where it's been and kind of like put it on the center of the table with a thud.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. We can erase mine apparently. So
With that collar? No, I was talking about the
no, but
spirit
Georgia
one, right?
did.
Oh,
But that color, like, what are you planning to do about it? It's
I'm not saying we force, I don't know you know, I think by this point, Wake might be more comfortable using like the word spirits. But like, you know,
Sure.
I'm not sure if we force one to follow us by force, but you know, we could bring one along with us, or get one, you know, to just submit itself to these chains for a little bit
I don't
in
like that.
exchange for helping us.
Don't like that at all.
Yeah, Hull is going to agree with Mist. I think if we're going to be calling on, you know, the invisible entities, then, you know, we have things that we can offer them in exchange, rather
Yeah.
than, you know, the chains. Otherwise, we're just as bad as the people who would, you know, do things to Georgia, and, you know, as bad as the you know, those who oppose the company.
Wake's just gonna kind of, you know, shrug slightly and say, you know, it's an option.
Um,
Granted.
Briefly interrupting out of character. Speaking of sort of the things of theirs you've taken, do you recall what it was that you got off of that raid? I know there were a number
Yes.
of sort of
2 points of
imbued
resources.
items that were acquired
We,
from
I remember
that
we got
ship
a
that we got
small,
Georgia from.
like hand mirror. We got a rod. I think that was a perfected material as well, or at least some sort of like a spell casting capabilities.
That I
There
don't remember
was.
at all.
Hmm?
That I don't remember at all.
That was what like
I
Georgia
don't think
lifted into the air or something, right?
I
We
don't
got
think
that one.
you were there for that session, Emmerich.
Oh,
Ah.
okay, yeah, no.
This was the
I
raid
thought you
that
spoke about. Yeah, no, yeah. I don't know then. Yes, my bad.
There was another thing, but I had the detailed stash on my older computer that I had, so
Yeah,
I don't
let
have those
me
notes fully.
see. It's not necessarily important for what you're saying right now, but I just remembered that I don't remember what you got either.
Wasn't there like a key or something?
Yeah, there was a lockbox, I think, and
Mhm.
a key.
Yeah.
Yeah, there we go. And I think that at this point, you would have been able to figure out, you know, by now, you would have figured out what they did. So 3 snuff boxes imbued with a spell which allows the wielders to speak with the dead. 1 pocket mirror
Ooh.
imbued with perfect recall, or with a mirror that sort of enhances and sharpens one's memories, sort of allows one to remember anything that they've seen or experienced or known or thought. And a key imbued with a spell to open a portal, but a portal to the realm of death. To, you know, the realm. Yeah, so a key to open a deathly portal, I think, is how you would have understood it.
Mhm.
Ooh.
And I'll just add that to someone's items, and then you can drag and drop them around between you guys, in case, so you don't forget.
Cool. Thank you. Yeah. So clearly we've plundered some stuff that is magical and valuable, and we don't really want to give it back.
I don't.
And yeah, so I think the situation that we're in, we still don't have a lot of information. We've gotten impressions of what, you know, this person is like, but we don't know the extent of their power. We don't know what they want. So I think if we keep Georgia as like a bit of leverage, if that's what they're concerned about, and if we maybe keep our membership in the company of the Codex as a sort of bit of leverage in our back pocket, as well, mess with us and you're messing with a lot of other
I don't know
wizards.
what we're arguing around when I could answer that question. Let's.
Sorry, say that again.
I don't know why we're arguing on. Let me answer the question. And is
Okay.
you can see Dalian Mist searching in his pocket and taking the silver coin that he found in the ghostly, well, the not so ghostly shape, but you know, and he's gonna cast a simple divination spell.
Great idea.
Playing with the coin in his hands and flipping it a few times, looking at it.
Okay. This one I will actually ask you to sort of set out the spell,
Yep.
since it's important for the potency and all that.
Absolutely. So I think his subject is gonna be him, or maybe it's gonna be the Cabal then. And it's gonna be specific. So let me count the overreach. 1 reach instant. 1 reach because Mystery of Salt. And 1 overreach for a more general question. Any specific question that you want the Cabal wants answered?
So we can have a complex question. So like,
Yes.
if we go to this meeting, you know, will we be harmed? It's probably a good place to start.
Overreach. No, wait. Advanced. Gonna scale for the subjects. And how much is a path to again?
+1.
It's just one, yeah.
Okay, so 1. How much is
Ye-
concentration? Let's see.
Concentration is a +2 yantra.
It's total 3 with 1 overreach that I cannot add for. Wait, maybe it's this one? Yes, okay. So it's 1 overreach, and we can add.
Are you going to attempt to contain it?
Yes.
Okay.
So let's roll for paradox. Oh, it's there. No paradox. No paradoxes.
Go ahead and roll.
You know what? It's my first roll, so I'm gonna. How many questions do we have right now?
Potency.
So we have we will be harmed if we go to a meeting. And I'm gonna add we will make a mistake if I leave Georgia behind. If that's alright.
It's a good idea, yeah.
Alright. Let's roll, baby. Not a great roll, but 1 is enough.
Okay, yep. That's only potency 1, so you'll only get 1 question.
It said free potency 2 on the spell factor list.
Oh, yeah. Okay, so just make sure to... You have to, like, change the Dropbox, even if
Okay,
you
yeah.
get the free. Because you could set it lower than the free if you wanted to.
Oh, okay, my bad.
No, that's fine. 2 is okay. So the first question you asked was, will we be harmed if we go to this meeting? You want detailed information, so the answer is that you will be allowed to walk away from the Virginia Trading Company house.
That's specific. But I think if the answer was we can walk away from the Virginia Trading House and we'll be nuked once we get 50 meters away, I don't think it would answer that. So, okay, I think that's a good answer.
And are you going to continue with the next question of will it be a mistake to leave Georgia alone?
Yes.
Just sort of alone in general, or did you specify
Behind.
any particular company?
Without us behind, like will we make a mistake if we leave Georgia without us?
I
Basically.
think I didn't know the answer to this one, but I had a plan. Alright.
Okay, just generally left behind.
Left behind is like she does not come to the meeting. That's intense behind it.
Right.
Will it be a mistake to not bring Georgia with us to the meeting?
No. It would not be a
Okay.
mistake to not bring Georgia to the meeting. You asked for or you spent the reach for detailed information, so
Yes.
things will not go worse for you at the meeting for not bringing Georgia.
All right. So Daniels nods and put the silver coin back in his bucket and relay the answers.
Okay.
So
Okay, I think that bodes well.
About as well as we can hope.
yeah,
You know. Much better than we could
Yeah.
have expected.
Yeah, and knowing that going in, I think Hull is sort of vindicated in her plans, so she's gonna press ahead with them.
Okay, so logistically speaking, there wasn't a time specified for this audience. You all are. Where are we in the world? Let's say that we were heading. Trade winds have us heading westward. You're probably somewhere in the Florida Keys. Probably it wouldn't be too out of your way to head to Havana. Oh, I don't have the thing that lets me hold down the click. But in terms of sort of timing, are we, setting sail right for Havana and leaving Georgia along the way? Are you going back to Nassau? Are you going to go a raiding and then maybe eventually go to Havana?
Miss Tantoviova is saying, well, I think we should go to Nassau to ask about this guy before going to his meeting, but
Get some info.
Yeah, I think
so
that's
it's
a
still
good idea.
captain, so
And then we can leave Georgia there. Maybe
Mhm.
with some crew people.
I can leave her with Molly. She won't mind.
That's
I saved some money
Yeah.
behind to pay for her own little room. But
yeah. I think that's a good idea.
unless
In terms of the company and talking to them about this,
Yeah.
I think maybe
let
we
me
don't want to
talk
give
to Go
Georgia to
about
them,
this.
but Gull, I don't know, like,
I'll
because
just ask her.
given what she said about seers, and she uses the Gull's term seers this time, given what she said about them, are they going to want to get involved? Are they going to interfere if we tell them about it?
Ask her privately.
Okay. Yeah, I feel like we're getting the hang of Gull a bit more now, so we can talk to her about this.
I feel like I can ask her and not have a blabbermouth around.
Okay. Yeah, that's fair enough.
But is it okay with you, Captain? And he turns to Balthazar.
I think Balthazar is sort of taken aback to be addressed since he's been sort of hovering in the background for so long. But yeah, we just left Nassau, so it will be a bit of a sell to tell the crew that we have to turn around again. But if we can, pick up some marks along the way, then I think that will keep them happy.
I can make an excuse about Orange Skin, The one we have are not too fresh anyway.
I think we don't have to rush this, because if you send someone an invitation, with a writ of passage, there's no date on anything, then if you come crashing through someone's window to deliver them this message, I think you would understand, if somebody had to just get their business in order to see some things, we can't really afford to just be beelining straight for them. So
That's fair.
I think we can afford to take our time. There's no need for us to have wasted the journey we've already made here. We can go and take out a merchant ship on the way back to Nassau or something, and then head round and round to Havana.
Okay. Sounds like a plan. So, with all this talk of sort of, sympathies and shields and veils, specifically Wakes, how Wake has been quite distant from Georgia since he started feeling his veils start to get pressed against, right? And I think that Georgia is somewhat noticing this, especially because, the company is the ones who have been most involved with Georgia and trying to, keep her around and keep her, happy, in a sense. So she's a little sad about it. I will say, at one point, especially given that, your veil is on sympathies, you probably checked on the sympathetic connections between you and the crew and Georgia and sort of her employer and all of these again, if I am not going too far in suggesting that, Scout.
No, that's fair.
So it's been a while since Wake has looked at the sympathies among the crew since they first joined. If you'll recall, Pascal then cast a spell to sort of supercharge the rate at which sympathetic connections would form to allow them to be better integrated with the crew. And it worked. Strangely enough, after sort of that spell wore off, everyone's peripheral mage sight was sort of detecting this effect sort of between them and the crew for a while. But then after that, you started to be sort of accepted preternaturally quickly among their company. They sort of spoke intimately with you, shared secrets, shared their food and drink, shared strong emotions much more quickly than any of you were probably used to, even after the magic was gone, which might have been a strange sensation, sort of feeling these para-magical effects of enhanced sympathy. But now that Wake is looking concertedly at sort of the sympathy around this ship, between the ship and, whoever might have been spying on them, Georgia and others, Wake notices that the sympathy between the company as a whole, or rather from the crew to the company as a whole, the collective of you, not necessarily at any particular one of you, is a thick and I think we established that Wake sees sympathy sort of in terms of reflections, right? In terms of reflections in mirrors and in water. It's a strong and steady sort of reflection of the company within sort of the image of each of the crew members and the crew as a whole. But in this sort of routing of sympathies, they all seem to go through Balthazar in these reflections that Wake sees, sort of as the titular head of the crew, since the subjects were, the crew as a whole and the company as a whole. In game mechanic terms, the crewmates all have strong connection to the company as a whole, and Balthazar has a connected connection to the three of you.
Nice.
Holy shit. That's like he's an extension of us.
Yeah.
And sort of as Wake, learns this, the hovering, the closeness, the sort of, I don't think Hall might have mentioned it, but sort of like the hovering, the closeness, the thinking about, and sort of being around the company all the time starts to make much more sense to Wake.
Mm-hmm.
He sort of understands the significance of, this powerful of a metaphysical blurring between two entities. And the fact that it is one way.
Yes. So the company's connection, like backwards, is not as strong.
It's probably medium to strong. Like you're all, reasonably you're more than coworkers at this point. So even naturally, it would have been sort of at least medium at this point. But I think we can say it's strong.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, back in the other direction.
That's interesting.
And of course, Wake is going to share this, like a bit, not like, not too urgently, not worriedly, but kind of spread the message along to the other two, and add his own commentary that, this he believes is explaining some of Balthazar's behavior.
So what terms does Wake use to explain it? I assume that there's going to be some, utilization of metaphors, as is often.
So Wake conceptualizes sympathy kind of as the signs of places and things you've done before, and things that have had an effect on you in turn. So he'd probably describe like the amount of like how connected Balthazar is as being like, extremely impacted, like to the point of almost being eclipsed, more than like any other relationship that he would have. It's becoming like a defining thing. A mark that's like as obvious as like damage or markings across the bow of a ship, after it, as it makes its journey. Impossible to miss, very evident.
That sounds concerning.
Yeah, that's
You should probably stop that.
I think the spell it's not been around, right?
Yeah,
Or
it's,
is it-
this effect, or the spell is gone, it did its work, and then it expired, but the, sympathy is the way it is currently.
Okay,
There
so
are, of
that's-
course, things one could do, sort of naturally, to change sympathy in either direction, or magically, but,
You
in
could, we
game terms,
could,
I guess I'd say the effect is lasting.
we could, give Balthazar a birth of space, distance, literal and more importantly, metaphorical, can allow the sympathy to kind of degrade back.
So what you're saying is you just sped things up, then you just like nudge things around. You didn't control anything more than that.
Well, that was intended to just speed things up, but the level of connectedness that like we have is very high. It's more than would be forming naturally under like almost all circumstances. Is I think how Wake would kind of put it.
Yeah, so Hull has like an understanding of that level of connection, because she has her soulstone. So she's probably spoken to Wake about what that means and what that kind of looks like, sort of thing. And so it's kind of alarming to her as well. Like this, so I think what she wants to know from Wake is like, is this a normal thing that can happen? Like if we've just speeded things up, like it shouldn't have gone beyond what is naturally possible, surely.
I'm not sure. I haven't seen. I don't think Wake's seen like this level of sympathy before from like separate people, right?
Correct. It would have been very unusual unless he was, assisting at a birth or something.
So he wouldn't be quick to say like it's impossible, but he would definitely say like I've never seen it. This is unusual in my opinion.
This
He
is
said that he
interesting.
was dreaming of us.
And back
That
to
could
the
that could definitely be caused by it or enhanced by it. Sympathy can be hard to track, the direct effects of, but it's a lot like like Wake's gonna try to kind of try to compare it to like his understanding of what Dalian does with fate. Like it's what you tend to talk about, it's an invisible force that like pulls.
Yeah. Quick clarification. I think that when Balthazar said he was dreaming of the three of you, that was said privately to Hull. Did Hull share that? with
Oh,
others?
maybe yes.
Oh, that's a good question. I think Hull did share that.
Okay.
I think she would have spoken to the others in terms of, because if Balthazar is dreaming about all of them, then and Hull kind of trucks in dreams as magical, magical sort of things. Oh yeah, I should use my dream merit, by the way. Anyway, yeah. So she probably would have shared that with them, but she's kind of she's interested in this situation. It's a little alarming, but it's not necessarily a bad thing. And if they're that connected, then it's probably worth keeping him close rather than sort of trying to keep him at a distance.
Mm-hmm. I think Wake's gonna say like, I don't think it's a bad thing, but it's not entirely expected.
Okay.
I'll be sure to keep a closer eye on it in the future. I don't think it can develop any further, but I think at that point we might want to intervene a little bit more forcefully.
Should we revisit our approach to Balthazar? Because we've kind of talked before about how, I've told him about us being wizards, and I feel like we should keep him informed to some degree, but he is still, he doesn't see like we do, so there is a danger there.
Yeah,
But
and he still has the Shard of the Abyss in him.
he's still got that, and so do we want? But Hull is almost seeing this as a positive, because if strange things are happening with him, then maybe he is, crossing that spectrum between not seeing and seeing. Not necessarily jumping across like we did, but if there are things going on with him, then it might be worth treating him as more part of, our group within
Out of
the
character. Yeah, out of character. We'll probably need to have a chat, probably in Discord, about sort of the range of circumstances that we would be okay with seeing, or rather, yeah, the range of circumstances and developments with Balthazar that we would be okay with seeing.
Sure. Yeah.
It could be worthwhile to share with him some of the company's teachings. Having our ship function under two separate pirate codes might not be the most effective.
That's a good place to start. How do you feel about that, Mist?
Sure. I mean, he's still technically the captain, so for me, that's that. Like, doesn't matter if he's just some sorcery or not. Like Samara was not like us, from what you said, and she was more knowledgeable than any of us.
It's true. It's true.
I will.
I think-
So I think that probably in your chats with what was that other mage who you met, Moonlight Over Shoals? I think that probably as part of your conversations with her, you might have you probably heard about how other company mages sort of run their ships, and learned of the fact that some of them even openly sort of captain their ships as wizards, are openly revealed to their crew as workers of magic.
Yep.
And sort of use that status as part of their, well, sort of use that mystique as part of their authority. Others, of course, take a more subtle approach, but
I think this is an opportunity to draw the captain in into our world, and through the captain, the rest of the crew. To a lesser extent, certainly, but I don't think this is this is cause for pushing them away and guarding that boundary.
Yeah, I think Wake would probably say, like, at this level of sympathy, right, trying to put up walls will probably only lead to more like friction stuff. Like this is a very close level of sympathy. Stuff's gonna kind of fall in this way more often than not. It might be better to just, make sure that it's he's eased into it.
He
I'd
already
agree.
wants to be part of it. He just doesn't like it when we talk about it without consulting him.
or alternatively, you could smash his face into it and see what that does.
I just don't want him to end up like Georgia. And I don't want us to be the type of wizards who treat people like Georgia.
I agree.
Yeah. Same with me.
So, yeah, I think that merits a change, certainly in Hull's attitude towards the captain. Drawing him in a bit more. She's wanted him to be involved and be able to see what's going on, but I think, keeping him more informed and more part of the table would be a good thing.
Well, I have to pee again. So as sort of the company I imagine that you're conferring sort of down in the below decks, where it's a little more private. That's where Hull's domain is, and it's spooky. You hear sort of shouts from above of ship on the horizon, and that's where we'll cut to break as I go to the bathroom. Back in 5.
Cool.
I'll be back too. I'm back, sorry.
Oh, cool.
Yep, same.
I'm back too.
Oh, sweet. You're just typing something. Okay. Anyway, sorry for the unexpected break. Those hop waters just run right through me. Okay.
Same here.
So, ship on the horizon. It's a merchant vessel. You're on a tail trajectory heading eastward. Winds are relatively low, so it would be a protracted sort of chase. The ship, the La Rosa, hasn't, flown the Jolly Roger yet. You still have, I think, like a Dutch flag or something. You're flying the flag of some, normal nation, attempting to get closer, following normal practice. How do the company of the Codex act to assure victory in this raid?
Dalian will cast a perfect timing spell on the whole crew for them to act even more efficiently in trying to to pursue the ship, if need be, or get into position.
Cool. Scout. What does Rick do? Or Pascal.
I think he's going to go more as Pascal this time and try to use, knowledge, of how the crew works together, just kind of like lead and organize them. Again, I know there's a space spell later that involves like having such good synchronization with the target because you like enhance sympathy that you can kind of like supernaturally work with them, and I'm wondering if we got that connected sympathy with Balthazar, can I kind of play off of that in a non-spell way,
I need to look at like proper crew with a K mechanics for the ship at some point. Or, if we're looking for non-spell ways to do that, that could be a legacy attainment once Pascal learns about those. Okay, what is Paul doing? Or John?
Hull, rather than using her, working on the ship itself, she's going to be, she's thinking about spirit. And she's thinking about the invisible side of things. And, and the world beyond the ship, sort of thing. And the world beyond the veil. And she's going to be using her magics to be sort of subtly pushing the wind and the waves in their favor, and to let them go in more directly and faster and from unexpected angles, to be able to cut through and take those advantageous approaches by manipulating the sea and the air.
Okay, so
this would essentially be the same spell that she's been doing, coaxing the spirit, but on the sort of things around them, the air that's hitting the sails and the turning a breeze away, that sort of thing.
I like it. Okay, so workings on the ship itself. Pretty much all of your approaches have been on, La Rosa, on your ship to make it more effective, to make it sort of get more out of the, little wind that they have, stop the luffing in the sails. I like it. And you start to very steadily pick up and gain, which the crew, are all sort of... I think that it's like all of these in concert are enough for the crew to notice that they're like rapidly gaining on this ship beyond what a ship of this sort of mobility in these conditions normally does, and they're all sort of itching at chomping at the bit to get going. Some of the more sort of keen-eyed ones, particularly Anselmo, who has had sort of an unfortunate encounter with the lie before, seem to notice that, seem a little uneasy, but no one is openly sort of rebelling or suggesting, magic or curses or anything of the like. As you gain on the enemy ship, the Jolly Roger goes up, the typical shout to surrender, their cargo comes on. There's sort of a lot of very visible panic on the, other ship. You're sort of close enough to not quite see the whites of their eyes, but you can make out individual figures over the course of the couple of hours that this chase takes. And all of a sudden, there's something wrong. Not something wrong in the sense that, you have a pit in your stomach or something, but, the sense data being presented to your eyes is off. It looks almost as if the ship is sinking. The Spanish flag sort of going down in your eyes, or descending towards the surface of the water as the ship sort of lowers. But it's not creating a wake as if the ship were, going down, taking on water, dropping. It seems almost like it's being sort of super, almost like it's in some sort of image editing program and like someone's hitting the down arrow key and just moving the like ship layer down underneath the water layer. And all of your peripheral mage sights sort of catch something about this ship and the area around this ship that sort of is carrying it along. And Hull, your peripheral mage sight, keen as it is, picks up sort of the bendings and workings and violations of space, along with the cold and the sort of, movement and transition of death. As before your very eyes, the ship sinks into the sea and is gone. No wake, no wave, no ripples in the water. Just gone.
Do we sense a nimbus?
You do not. And neither do the crew members, because they are all panicking. Several of them were, ready to drop the gangplank, some of them manning the guns, some of them sort of, ready to charge and keeping lookout, and there is mass panic on the ship as all of them are running about, screaming, where are they, ready to, loose aggression, sort of almost being driven by something more than mortal panic, as sort of something within them you can see breaking almost. Something within them trying and struggling to understand what they've just seen and being unable to.
Pascal's gonna try to help, calm the crew and get them back in focus to not succumbing to panic.
Sort of, do you throw up mind sight at all?
Yes.
Okay.
Well,
sure.
he
Go
threw
ahead.
up mind and spirit when the ship started to sink below.
Okay.
Well, not spirit, mind, and space.
Yeah, so with the space site up during the brief time that you can see sort of the ship, it all happens so quickly, you definitely do. I think you smell the space effect. You smell sort of a rush of air of a cavern suddenly opening and the trapped cold air within rushing out over you as there is a transition. And with so no mind or
Mine's up as
yeah.
well, but
Okay, cool. But so he will see that all of the crew members, except for Raoul, are currently having breaking points.
I forgot who's Raoul.
Raoul is the quartermaster.
Quartermaster.
Does this look the same as Quiescence?
Would it look? I don't know that it would look differently without scrutiny to just mind sight. But
Yeah.
Okay,
I think,
that's
you know
fine.
what?
Well, maybe to.
You know what? It's probably more interesting that like it does look a little bit different. There's sort of this. I think that. So how does how do you think Wake sort of perceives breaking points in mind sight? Hears, sees, feels, tastes, whatever. Like
Well, since he already has the high like visual association with like fractures and cracks that like form the realms of mind and space, probably like literal breakage, right? Something impactful, violent that's starting to wrench around the different connections and thoughts that form form people and their selves, right? You know,
Yep, okay.
it's something that's suddenly causing like a huge shattering and then it's like, spreading out to impact like all different parts of them until it settles.
Okay. And yeah, I'm going to say that in this instance, Pascal hears a high humming, whining noise, as if someone were sort of running a wet finger around the rim of a fine glass. Faster, 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 and faster, and faster, and faster, until that resonance is sort of ringing in your ears long after it's stopped. And this is sort of an unusual addition to breaking points he has seen before. People sort of being under stress before. This is a particularly soul-deep sort of distress.
He's still going to before after taking maybe a quick glance at Raoul, just like double checking that he's not experiencing a breaking point here.
Yeah.
He's still gonna try to solve it like non-magically.
Okay. How are you going to do so?
He's going to, using his like knowledge of sailors discipline, and how to kind of use like, not like the chain of command, but like that sort of like, the chain of command that's in use during raids, like you have to follow the captain's orders, the wrong move can mean death for everybody, so everyone's got to make sure they know what they do and follow the discipline, He's just
Okay.
going to try to like restore discipline.
Cool.
Basically.
Familiar patterns groove themselves into brains, and that will definitely help lower the penalty of you trying to reduce the chaos. So give me a it sounds like you're trying to sort of do a very amount of browbeating.
Remind
so give
them,
me a presence plus. I'm gonna say, either intimidation or socialize. It's not really persuasion because you're not you're not really in the position to be reasoning with or arguing with anyone. -2.
-2. I'll spend a willpower. Presence, intimidation. Rolling.
Okay, 2 successes. That's enough. So Pascal manages to stop anyone from doing something rash, is how I'll put it. There are definite limits to that Pascal can see to what sort of the naked word can do. Some of these people are these people are currently beyond persuasion, beyond reasoning, beyond sort of being talked or reminded or sort of shown protocol. They are in sort of an animal, more than animal panic, but he's able to sort of distract attention from the people, or get the attention of the people who seem like they're about to hurt themselves or others. Get people to sort of move away from the guns, move off of the mast, sort of stop flailing if they are flailing, but the state of panic seems intractable, even if he's able to stop symptoms of harming anyone, which is probably good enough.
Yeah, his whole attention's going to be devoted to that, so he's going to be like having his hands full for probably the rest of this,
Okay. Wake, or Hull and Mist probably have a very concerned Balthazar at their elbow, immediately asking, what was that? Or no, actually Balthazar would also be panicking. He's probably, closer to the company than he is to the rest of the crew, so not as caught up in the collective mania, but very clearly is breaking. But I think he's breaking more in sort of a cowering way. What do the two of you do while Wake is attempting to calm the crew?
Guardian is going to try and combat Saba, just, getting eye to eye, say, we here, everyone's here, like, danger is past, don't worry, like.
Hull is going to focus on getting information.
Okay, and how is she going to do that?
Well, she wants to know if that was magic, if people are freaking out because the ship just deleted, or people are freaking out because the ship just deleted and someone is fucking with us with magic. So she's bringing up Prime Sight. She's sort of seeing if there's anything currently affecting the crew that is magical. She probably would have brought up Prime Sight for the ship disappearing, just to see what's going on there.
Okay, sure. So, as far as knowing, is it magic? Well, awakened magic. Definitely it was something supernatural. And it was resonant with space and death. Oh, excuse me. You haven't encountered much supernatural stuff that isn't supernal in nature, now that I think about it. But you do know that from the fact that your peripheral mage sight sort of perceived this effect, this sort of, the space and the death emerging from it. It was definitely something supernatural. Bringing up Prime Sight, as you saw the ship sort of no-clipping down into the water, you saw, very much the presence of an awakened spell, but without too much time to investigate beyond that, because the spell, along with the ship, very quickly sort of vanished from your sight. Looking down into the water, you see sort of, the reflection of the water as you would expect, the Marmoris of the sun off of it. You don't see sort of, any shipwreck descending down into the depths there as the ship passes over, or La Rosa passes over where the ship was. But with your Prime Sight up, I'll say that you definitely do feel sort of a chill. Looking for the traces of a nimbus looking over the water, you don't see anything that looks like, a signature nimbus. Which, Paul doesn't know if any traces of nimbus left with the ship, or if a nimbus was not left somehow. But there definitely was an awakened spell of space and death.
Somebody fucking with us. Okay, Hull is going to take, just going to grab, something small and heavy, that's just like around or whatever, a bolt or or whatever, and go to the edge of the ship and try and throw it to where the the ship disappeared, to see what happens.
I think you see it, or how long has this been? Probably less than a minute, right? You see the water, it splash into the water, watching keenly. You see it start to sink, and then, before you expect it to, you are no longer able to see it.
Okay. So... So Hull's thinking that someone opened a hole somewhere and took that ship away somehow. And clearly that hole is still there. Probably not a good idea to go into it. Probably not a good idea to just go, hey everyone, let's jump in this hole. But that's information. That's fine. Okay, yeah, I think that's all we're going to get out of that for the minute. Okay, can I buy a second dot of prime?
Yeah, sure. Does your gnosis allow for that? It's up to prime 2, right?
Yeah, I've got 4 arcane experience, and yeah, I can get prime 2.
Nice.
Because I think this is a sign that we're being messed with. I think this is whoever that person is from the Virginia Trading Company has sent us this thing. Or has been watching us, has decided to mess with our trade. And I think now is a good time to bring the crew in on this and let them know what we're up against and inspire them a bit. So,
very quickly, let's see. Hold on, I'm just gonna roll something quick.
I did say that.
Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, you said that Miss was trying to go bad, so I don't know if I needed to roll for that or just.
No, I think that.
Okay.
I will roll something for Balthazar, but that is not what you will expect it to be for.
All right.
Okay. So. Greg, give me a wits plus composure roll. This is not a perception check. Actually, no, an intelligence plus composure check.
Who do you want this from?
Scrag. Sorry.
2 successes.
Okay. Space and death. Space and death. Space and death. Sounds an awful lot like something that you presently have on you that you got from a certain ship.
True. So, would I conclude that that it is the owner of those things that is casting this magic?
Or you might conclude that might not be the only one.
Uh-huh. Okay. So,
The key, that is. Just being clear.
So it's the key that has done this?
You think
the key is a key to this?
So, You all know from sort of, your conferring over your spoils that key you received from whatever that ship was has a conjunctional spell of space weaving with death, which is meant to open a portal, a deathly portal. And
Okay.
based on, succeeding on that roll, that kind of sounds similar to what you've just sort of experienced with your keen periphery, knowing that this was a space and death effect. Further conclusions drawn from there are your own.
Okay, I see where you're going with this. Lads, how do we feel? How do we feel about going to hell? What if we just went into the underworld, huh? I'm
think
asking out of character here, but
plunder belongs to those who take it.
yeah.
Let me raise my death level first, but yeah, sure.
Well, what better way?
Yeah. So I think what I'm thinking here is that the reason I wanted another dot of prime is so I could stand up in front of the crew and do words of truth and inspire them by saying, we are up against powerful magics, but together, with us among you, and together we can sail right into, the gates of hell, and nothing's going to stop us, and we can take what we want, kind of thing. Give them a big brash speech about that, with a tongue of flame, and inspire them, and kind of shake them out of this. Oh my God, what happened? Where are they gone?
I like it.
Because there isn't really time for us to confer in character.
Yeah, I mean, you do.
I
You.
wanted to ask you guys if that's cool.
No problem. Daniel wouldn't be a fan of that, but the player has no problem.
Cool. I like Dalian as the more sensible and grounded one of the crew, so I think it works for him to be like, oh no.
Yeah, just don't use juju, man. Don't use excitable magic on this panic world. That's no bueno.
Would it be fair to say that Hull might have the key on?
One of you probably has the key on you and could give it to Hull.
Because I definitely want to brandish that.
Mm-hmm.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fitting.
Even if you didn't, it would be very quick to get it. So
yeah. Okay. She's going to grab that. She's going to head up onto where the wheel is. Nice raised position. Shall I roll for words of truth?
Yeah, because I assume that there will be paradox involved, or the risk of paradox. It's fun watching the cursor markers for players when they're clearly moving back and forth in the macro screen.
Okay. How can I justify using my shadow name? Okay. So
I'm all ears.
I think she is revealing herself. She is speaking her truth, kind of thing. And we kind of talked about the piece of Hull. Oh no, that's not her shadow name, but hang on. What am I talking about here? 1 second. Well, okay, continuing that line of thought, Soulstone is we kind of talked about it being a mirror in terms of tool sense. So
Mhm.
it's kind of revealing herself to the crew, to the subjects, and in other ways is kind of parting the barrier between them and the truth.
Yeah.
And
You're also trying to extort them to penetrate a boundary.
exactly, yeah. And I think those things are in keeping with her shadow name as well, in terms of being a sort of keeper of a boundary, and also, understanding when to open that and when to cross that.
I'll allow it.
Cool.
I haven't played Magic the Gathering in a very long time.
Okay, so it's it's got to be the subjects. Okay, so this would have to be an area spell, wouldn't it?
It could be.
Oh,
Or it could be. I think it would be like advanced scale subjects with 1 step up, but area also gets the job done.
Yeah, I think I'll do area. Yeah, let's do that. Okay, so that's that. And I believe because my soul stone is my dedicated tool, then it's a -3 to paradox.
That sounds right. We'll go with it. But I don't think it cancels out the possibility of paradox at all unless
No.
you're using 2 dedicated magical tools.
No, yeah, that's unique to magical tools. Or 2 of them, sorry. Okay, so that puts paradox at a chance die. We've got witnesses, so how much would this be? A large group?
Yeah, I think that's fair.
wait.
That's like
for
8
paradox?
again or whatever.
For paradox, is word of truth an obvious?
Well, it can
magic?
be a non-obvious using of magic, but it's Paul's kind of going out of her way to make it a bit obvious, right? Is that what you're going for? Like, you're brandishing this key, yelling about how you're a wizard, and now there's suddenly like, no, your words are true on a soul deep level.
Yeah, so I mean, you could even add a visual effect for that.
Well, yeah, that's the dice
Yeah.
trick, which I
Yeah,
think
yeah,
would
yeah.
be 8 again for a large group. We'll just go with that.
How many people are much?
A large group is 8 again, yeah. Well, it goes like from one, a few, and then a
5.
large group.
Yeah.
So, like, there's certainly more than a few.
How many are we on the ship, by the way? I totally forgot.
Oh, it's at least like 20. Like, crews are
Yeah.
large.
It's like a class of kids elementary school.
Okay. Oh, and I'm going to reach for giving them the inspired condition as well.
Nice. Are you attempting to contain the paradox?
That's an excellent question. Yeah, I think I will. She contains. Okay. I think that's all ready to roll now.
let it rip. Everyone is looking at Hull as she stands sort of... I think... Are you at the helm of the ship, or are you at the... what's it? What's the front of it? The prow?
Oh, the prow. Yeah, I think the prow makes more sense, actually, because we were kind of heading towards this other ship, and that's where other people were going. So
Right.
got a little bit of a boost there. I brandish the key, cast the spell. 0 successes on the paradox roll, which is nice.
Nice.
Oh, 4 successes. Oh,
Oh.
so
That-
close.
I have, like, the fancy dice animations where, like, it throws the physical dice for you, and then it doesn't show me the result until after, so it's always interesting to hear, like, people reacting because they see the actual result faster. Okay, so close.
Question: is a spell included mist and
It
wave?
does, actually, but
It was an
it's-
area, so yeah, it is basically everybody on the ship.
Does it have a withstand?
Huh?
Oh, bugger, it's withstood by composure.
Composure. Yes.
Potency 2. I'll just give it to you. What's the composure for everyone, or for the
4.
2 of you? It's
Mine's not high at all.
it's
It
2 for
is-
wake, and
2 for...
All for mist.
4 for mist. So I'll just say that we'll pretend you got an exceptional success and add an additional step in the primary factor.
I'm fine for not withstanding
that's
it.
alright.
There's no issue with me.
Yeah, I mean, you could also choose not to withstand it. But anyway, we'll just assume that it's potency 3 and gets almost all of the crew. But, so, you can, you hoist the spell aloft, go ahead, or, your spell sort of encompasses, describe the imago, and then you can give your speech.
So, yeah, as she's casting this, she takes out where she was holding her soul stone. She's just got it like kind of tucked inside of her tunic, and she takes it out and turns it outwards and away from her, as if like opening a door, and sort of, moving a plank away from a fence and revealing what's there. And she holds up the key, like it's something that she has been entrusted to bear, like it is hers to command and sort of decide what to do with it. And in her mage sight, she sort of sees her words as she begins speaking, forming into keys that slot into the world around them, that kind of hover over the crew and over the ship, and press into invisible locks in the veil around them, and they move kind of as she speaks and at her command, and the light from those openings shines down and sort of bathes the deck in this sort of light of truth.
I like it.
And yeah, she says, as she speaks, and they feel it bone deep that what she's saying is true. That powerful and nefarious parties have reached out to stymie us and to take away what is rightfully ours. But we hold the keys. It would be good if we had a Cabal name right now, huh?
Yep.
Yeah.
Because I was thinking like maybe
Yeah.
something in Spanish, like something about the Rosa, like the Rose at Night or something, but I don't know, nothing's really sticking. Why don't I just say, like, you know, we among you have, you know, have the sight to show you the way, and we can, and we have the power to challenge these forces. If you will follow us, will you follow us into the gates of hell?
There's definitely, truth in your words, the truth that you hold keys, that there are forces arrayed against you, and that you have power. So they sort of feel that, and, as they, confusedly, like, cheer scream, like, it's definitely, like, a combination cheer scream, because they're still experiencing the effects of quiescence, and this didn't help. But, beneath their sort of breaking before your very eyes, you can definitely tell that they are, moved to action, that they are, driven to you. And, you get some raised hands and cheers, and those who had higher composure, that were unaffected, that small handful of people who have, like, composure 3, are still very confused and not terribly expired. But that's a small, number of them. But, like, this also has been a very obvious working of magic before sleepers. So, Hull, if you would give me 3 dice, as, this crew raises their hands before you and, cheers at your power and your guidance.
Could
Let
I
me look
take
at-
a +1 to that for my virtue of certainty?
Just quickly look at the suggested modifiers also to see if there's anything I'm forgetting. Certainty is certainly what you have displayed. What's your vice again?
Conformity.
Okay. So would you say that this is in service to your obsession? The permeable nature of all boundaries?
Oh, I think
Yeah.
I think it would. Well,
Okay, so-
here's the thing. I think in service to your obsession, that she's doing this because of her obsessions. I don't think so. It is in line with her obsessions, but the reason that she's doing it is because, she is trying to shake them out of this fear. She is genuinely concerned about the people who are messing with the crew, and what they're doing. So I think then. I sound like I'm trying to wriggle out of this, I know, but I think the intention of that rule is kind of, are you doing this thing because you're obsessed and you're willing to do hubris?
Yeah,
So
sure.
I don't think it's really in service to it.
Okay. I'm fine with that. So, roll me 4 dice then.
Damn it.
Okay, well, also, I'll mark down a beat for you. Whether you succeed or not. Is that arcane beat?
Yes.
It is an
Okay,
arcane
yes.
beat, yeah.
So that'll be individual for you. But, the crew members who are affected are extra inspired. The crew members who were not affected are sort of only normally inspired, or would be if they were able to break out of their souls, shattering before them when contending with impossibilities. But, you see this, sea of a bunch of raised fists and cheers, and I think that's the feedback that Hull was looking for. Hull's... So how does Hull process the fact that, she's, exposed all these sleepers to supernal magic, possibly worse to the, breaking of their souls, but she's gotten the result she wanted. She's at, the head of a crew who seem, for all intents and purposes, inspired by her words and driven to obey her directions. Like, how does she process the wisdom reducing?
I think she's sort of she feels vindicated. She feels like, yes, this was the right thing to do. I am right to decide who should know what. I am right to sort of throw open the gates if I so choose. Like, this is clearly a good thing. So, you know, and people should listen to what I say. It's right for me to be maybe not completely in charge, but I should be listened to. Yeah, so she's getting very high on a big crowd of people going yay, even if some of them are screaming in pain.
It sounds like she is megalomaniacal.
Absolutely.
Okay. Throw that on the sheet. All right. Well, you know, key aloft. It sounds like Hall is about to turn the key, which we will do next time.
Hell yeah.
Okay. Cool. So, thanks for playing and thanks for watching. I'm gonna end the stream, and I'll see you guys
Bye.
next time.